She believed me.
I didn't see him. Then I looked at him, and I think I can tell that.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Glad you are here. First is the roll call. Ms. Golden.
Mayor Curley.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem King.
Here.
Alderpersons Blanks.
Here.
Duncan.
Here.
Dunn. Here. Noes.
Here.
And Mathis.
Here.
7 present.
The chair detects a quorum, so we'll proceed. We're very pleased that Reverend Tom Murdoch is with us this evening. Ask that he step to the podium and offer invocation. Ask everyone to please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Reverend Murdoch, please, sir.
Holy One, we are always grateful for this community, for Tullahoma, for those who give up their time and their energy to serve this community. And especially we are grateful today as we offer thanks for those who have given themselves in service and now as they begin their term. Particularly grateful for Alderman Keene and Duncan for the years of service and wisdom and time that they've given. We offer our prayers for Alderman-elect Blackwell and Berry as they begin their time on the board, offering new energy, experiences, asking that you bless them as they add to those who continue to serve. That through the leadership of the mayor and aldermen, Tullahoma may continue to grow and flourish as a community. We offer our hearts, our prayers for them. Always grateful to you as we pray. Amen.
Reverend Murdoch.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we've got just a little housekeeping business to do, and we want to take this opportunity to, as Reverend Murdoch made reference to the two aldermen that are leaving this board after a number of years of distinguished service. So first I would like to recognize Alderman Jackie Duncan. And Alderman Duncan, we appreciate you and the work that you've done. Tullahoma is a better place because of you. And I think the most wise thing I've heard today in a long time was offered by Alderman Duncan a few minutes ago when someone mentioned to him that they were going to miss his service. Alderman Duncan said, I'll continue to serve the community, but just in a different location. And I do believe that he will continue to serve the community and his county as well. So Alderman Duncan, we appreciate you and the work that you've done. I want to open the floor for any other comments anyone else would like to make at this time.
You mean about these two?
Specifically about Alderman Duncan.
Hello, Mr. Duncan. I've had the privilege of sitting beside him for many, many, many meetings, and each time has been a blessing to me because of his willingness to always do exactly what's right, and he always listens. Very listening person. He will listen to you, and then he'll give you what he thinks about things, but very, very pleasant, and you'll be missed. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Alderman Blank.
Jackie,
Yes, sir.
appreciate sitting next to you for the last 6 years. Appreciate your comments. You cover all your bases. We also have poetry occasionally. Poet laureate of Tullahoma, possibly. I hadn't served with anybody else on the board that would write prose like you do, and I appreciate it. We will miss you, but I know you'll be around. You'll take care of other things you got going on, which is a full schedule. But like I've told other aldermen that have come and gone on this board, sometimes this is a sad day, but also a happy day. But we'll miss you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, thanks. Alderman King?
Jackie, it's been a pleasure to work with you, this entire board. But your positivity and the things that you do amaze me and inspire me.
Thank you.
And I do appreciate everything that you've taught me while we've served together. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman King. Alderman Jones?
I just have to say that I've learned so much from you about the history of Tullahoma, and I've just always enjoyed, you've got such a moral compass, and it's so strong, and I really appreciate how you make a point to make sure that every decision you make is one that's going to serve everybody. So thank you, Jackie.
Thank you. Very nice. Alderman Lewis?
Alderman Duncan, you've been a mentor to me. I appreciate that. One regret I have, and that is that the new alderman coming in will not have an opportunity to serve with you as I have had. Godspeed, man.
Thank you.
Very, very nice. Thank you. Well, Alderman Duncan, your name was called, and so one of our rules is that when your name is called, you have an opportunity to defend yourself. Any comments?
Oh, I should have known better than that. First, I would like to say congratulations to Mrs. Blackwell and Mr. Berry, and my most sincere thank you to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for being the blessing you've all been to me over the last several years. Mayor Curley and Judge Conley, and I go back a lot further than a lot of folks in here, but they have always been a blessing. They've always done the right thing, even when maybe the times didn't demand it years ago. And they've always been a friend. And I've always appreciated them both. And Mayor Curley, I think, has a great plan for the city, and I appreciate having served with you in this capacity. He's always had the idea of wanting to make Tullahoma the greatest little city in the world, and I think we're on the road to it. I was born here at Camp Forest back when it was during World War II, which later became Arnold Air Force Base. I worked there and retired from there, and lived right in this little area. And I tell everybody that it's just been a little kind of a circle, born at Camp Forest and lived over on Polk Street, and then I went to school over on Jackson Street at Davidson Academy, and a church on Washington Street right there in between, and I've served on the deacon board there for the last 30-some years. And it's been a blessing, though, just that little circle, and I left once and thought I was going to find something better in life, and I wound up right back here because, Tullahoma, I think, is the greatest little city in the world, and there's no place like home. And so it's always been a blessing just to be here, and I'm probably going to stay here until I die, unless if I get married and my wife makes me go somewhere else to live with her. I don't know, that's yet to come. I don't have any prospects right now, so that's kind of far. That's kind of on the table, way off the table a little bit. But I'm on the road quite a bit though too. So anyway, we're always hope. I guess I was a little bit. I'm always encouraged by everybody. Everybody's been great to me, and as far as just friendship, and there's nothing like friendship. I promise you. And the friends that you make, and I want to like to tell kids that that not to bully and to make friends, and to these friends you can have for the rest of your life. Friends are not throwaways. And you bully somebody today, and they might be your boss 10 years from now. You're in trouble then. But bottom line is that we all need to love one another and treat one another better. And that's just the way it is, and that's just always been my philosophy. And I guess I probably see more folks at Kroger or Walmart than anywhere else, because my mother was an avid shopper. She shopped every day of her life, I do believe. A lot of people probably still remember Mabel Duncan, and she was a bingo advocate, and she but she loved to shop every day. She just liked to get out and be amongst people, and I think that was one of the great attributes that I got from her. So anyway, I was discouraged a while back, and I used to always try to encourage everybody. During the election, I was in Walmart one night, and I talking to some people about voting. It was early voting period, and just one young lady that was checking me out, I asked her had she voted, and she thought, well, said it just probably don't matter anyway. Says she's just discouraged, and she thought her vote didn't count. And that night, I think one night after that, I wrote a little poem. I was in Walmart, and I constantly write. Things come to my mind, and I'm just a writer. That's just all I can say. I've got some things going on in the writing world, but bottom line was I've got a little poem I wrote for that young lady at Walmart. It said, the greatest loss in this God-given life, and one that truly breaks my heart, is for someone to give up admitting defeat before the race even starts. And she just had given up. She thinks her vote doesn't count. But I tell everybody your vote does count. I wish I'd had about 6 more that day. But I've got no problem with it. I've got a higher calling, I do believe, for some greater things in my life. And I thank God every day that I wake up, that I'm able to get up, and my mind is still working. And I just get so excited about life. And I'm enthused about it, and I'm excited. And every day I live, I wake up with seem like a brand new meaning that to do something bigger and better, and and things are just, my mind is working on something all the time, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm always just trying to encourage everybody. And I told that young lady that her vote did count. I said, you might not realize it, and it might not seem like it sometimes, but I think that, I said, perhaps one of the greatest things, one good thing that came out of that defeat, my defeat, I guess, was the encouragement. I will be a stronger voice of empowerment and encouragement for folks to get out and vote. And said, and we all somebody, and your vote does count. And the only time it doesn't count is when you don't cast it. And when you don't cast it often enough, it gets deeper. You get expunged from the electorate, and you get deleted, you get wiped out from the roll. Now, that's when it doesn't count, when you don't really make a difference. When you let it go down the pot, and then you got to start over again. And a lot of people don't realize that, but it's only when you don't care that you don't count. And I tell folks that, and I'm a believer that we all mean something in life. We're all strong, and we just don't believe in ourselves enough. I wrote a little poem one time, how I lived my life, and this was back during, a lot of you probably remember that WWJD period, What Would Jesus Do? And I wrote a poem about it even back then, and it's been a long time. I sold it in quite a few bookstores here in town. I used to frame poems, and bookstores would like to have stuff like that before I did my first book. But anyway, the poem called WWJD says when confronted with a problem, with the decision up to you, to ensure you make the right choice, just ask, what would Jesus do? Will you stand by your decision once its full effects are known? Are you sure there'll be no regrets? The choice is yours alone. You see, solutions aren't always simple. They're not usually black and white. But if you do it just like Jesus would, there's no way it won't be right. So in whatever situation, the call is strictly up to you. Why risk the chance of failure? Just ask, what would Jesus do? Now, I always use that little poem to kind of go by, and it makes a difference in my life. It really does. And I'm going to finish up here, and I'm going to say this, that I am not a politician. People tell me that, one guy called me a politician one day. I said, I am not a politician. And one thing about it is that I kind of shy away from politics. And that's the little poem, another little poem that I wrote, said, I'm somewhat shy of politics. God wants us to live as sisters and brothers. It's never his will that we hate and fear, but it is that we should love one another. Says, I'm called a politician by some. It's an earthly status I don't deserve. But I'm quick to say I'm a mere servant, and my only desire is to serve. We fuss and fight along the way, but we've got to get through this somehow. We may have all come here on different ships, but we think we're all in the same boat now. So, just let us it breaks my heart every day to watch TV and see what's going on in Washington, D.C., and to know that it does not go on here in the county. And I pray that's the only reason I took the job, only reason I put my name in the hat as alderman and as county commissioner when I first signed up for county commissioner. People asked me to serve. I never had a desire for politics. But and so I said I'm a servant, and that's good enough for me. So I thank you for your faith in me and your confidence, and everyone that I've worked with the city. I just thank you for you've all been fantastic, and pray that everything great will go for you. So, and I'll always be around, and don't worry about it. If you need me, just call me. I'm around close as near as your telephone. So I'm still with the county commission, still mayor pro tem for the county. So somebody figured, I guess, that they had too much going on, too much to do. So that's good enough for me, you know. And I trust God for everything. I do. I trust Him for everything. And I know that there are bigger and better things that are waiting for me. I've been having, for the last year, I've had about 10 different they're publishing companies, not publishers per se, but companies that promote, that have been on the phone with me, and these people are begging me to call them, and I won't call them, and I don't answer the phone. I see the numbers, and I just don't answer. But I'm going to get something going on about the book that I did write several years ago, and they're trying to re-promote that, reprint it, and I've got a couple of other books that are in. I'm getting ready to publish, and one is a children's book, actually 2 children's books, so I can be able to concentrate maybe on some bigger and better things. Now, if you see me on Oprah one day, say, I know that guy. So that's good enough. And I thank you all for your support, for your love, and I'll still be around. Don't worry. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Duncan. You will be missed. So, Ms. Keene, that will be an act of follow-up. But if anybody can do it, you can do it. Ms. Keene and I have had the opportunity to work together, not only as a member of the board and an alderman, but also in our business world as well. And I've always respected her and her hard work and her diligence and her paying attention to what needs to be done. And so, Ms. Keene, you will be missed as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Alderman Mathis,
You want me to follow ahead?
Briefly.
Briefly.
You're following me, and that's much easier than following her.
I agree, it is much easier. One thing about you, Renee, that whatever you say, you can stick to it. It's exactly what you mean, and I know I've had dealings with you that whatever you told me, I can take to the bank. Not only, but sadness, but happiness will be part of your life because you're going to take care of those little ones now. And that's going to be very, very pleasant. In Georgia.
Renee, it's been a blessing, really. It's been a joy working with you. Before we worked together here, I've never worked with her before, but I remember that I've been a member of the Chamber of Commerce as an individual for years now, and I felt a need to get into Chamber to meet a lot of people and do a lot of things. It's just a great organization. Chamber, Hope is doing a fantastic job there, and Renee, this was back maybe, I don't know how long, since several years back. Renee was the president of the Chamber of Commerce. And she did a great job then, and I always knew then that she was going to do bigger and better things. And so, but now she's getting ready to do the greatest thing that she could ever have done, is to go home and be with those grandbabies and help out there. So this is the joy of your life, I know, and this is where your heart is. So that's where I think that's what we all look for in life, is to find where our heart is and just dive into it fully invested, and I think this is where your heart is. I know it is, and so I wish you great things and those great times with those babies.
Thank you, Alderman Blacks.
Thank you, Mayor. Renee, we will miss you. You've been sitting next to me for the last year. You've been a diligent, hard worker. You've had ups and downs since you've been on the board. You know, there's not many of us that are sitting here that would have lost a spouse that could have continued and been dedicated like you do, and that's something you should be proud of. You know, you're a native just like me. and you want to get back and serve your community. There's others of us that may not have grown up here that can do the same thing, but it's always a little bit more special if you grew up here and you can help out. We'll miss you, but I know you've got plenty of stuff to do. Maybe we'll see you around. Thank you.
Very nice, thank you. Alderman Duck.
I've got to say, I've always appreciated your cool head. I never had to worry about, we've had lots of very interesting emotional nights here, and Renee is always just like that, which was so, it made things a lot easier, and just always smiling, and just, I know you've got a lot of energy behind you, and you've got all these, the women in the women's club that you're working with, and I know more great things to come, so enjoy your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very nice, thank you. Alderman Norris, please, sir.
Renee, you have, as everyone has said, been such an anchor for this group, and how much we appreciate that. But as Alderman Blanks alluded to, seeing you go through personal tragedy in your life and how you responded to that told me an awful lot about your character. You're a strong person, and we've needed your support here on this board with that. Good luck with all your new endeavors. Thank you for your association.
Very nice, thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman King.
Okay, well, I can't speak the way Jackie is. I am not that kind of speaker. So I wrote out a little bit of something, but I think it kind of goes out the window. First of all, to be able to serve on this board, it has its ups and downs. You never know exactly what you're going to come against. You're always going to make somebody disappoint. You're going to disappoint someone, and it's really, really hard. Those of you who knew my husband, Jeff, knew he was my anchor. I could go home to him, he would watch our meetings, and when I came home, we could discuss it. He was the level head. He kept me going so I could discuss things with him, because it was very upsetting to know that you're making some people upset on things you have to vote on when you know that it's right or it's wrong. So it is challenging. This board has been a wonderful board. We may agree to disagree on various things, but everybody left and respected one another, and Lane has led us with such diligence, and I feel truly blessed to have been able to work on this board. I really do. The department heads and the people that I have served with, thank you so very much. People behind the scenes and out on the streets and in our community have absolutely no idea what all you go through. Jennifer, she's come in and she's led everybody and done a wonderful job, but they work really, really hard, and they give it their all, and all of our city employees do such an amazing job, and we don't give them near enough thanks for the things that they do. We couldn't have the roads taken care of and our garbage taken care of and all the things if it weren't for their leaders. So I truly appreciate everything that they did. The ladies in the office have been wonderful to me to keep me on track where I needed to be and what I needed to be. People don't realize all the meetings and all the things you can be involved with. There is a lot. You can choose to be more involved or lesser. It just depends on yourself. I'm one to throw myself in. My family will tell you 100%. I'm a Tullahoma girl. I'm a third generation person, not going anywhere. I may be around again soon. We don't know. But those of you who do know, I had to make a decision a few months ago as to whether I was going to run or not. And it was a very, very emotional decision, and I had to talk to my family about it. We were expecting, I have 3 grandchildren already, but we were expecting twins, and I'm not going to go into details, but just didn't know about the situation, and running a campaign just wasn't going to work. And so I had to make a decision, so family had to come first. And I know everybody understands that. Not to say I don't know what the future will hold, but as of right now, I feel like I've made the right decision. I want to thank our community who has reached out to me, who supported me, who urged me on after I was involved with the chamber for 10 years and then encouraged me to pursue something I had absolutely no desire to do. And like Jackie, I am not a politician by any stretch of the imagination. I just felt like I'm a servant. I'm a volunteer. I want to do what's right for Tullahoma. Doesn't matter what side you're on or where you're from. I just looked at the issues and did what we felt was right. a lot of things have happened in the last 6 years. I won't go into all, everything, but I mean, just a few things. We were voted best micropolitan city twice. TUA has created the fiber of the premise. Everyone in your home and business is able to get that. Publix finally came to be. Splash Island, our airport is amazing, and the airport and the air park and everybody out there has done an amazing job, and it is something to brag about. Being in real estate, it is amazing how many things I can tell people when they go and they call me and want to know about moving here. So I'm very, very proud. We have 600 plus acres of parks and greenways, along with the dog park, the outstanding Go Green campaign, the tourism and sports initiative. So many new businesses. Just drive down Jackson Street and you will see so much and so many things that have taken place the last few years. And now we can actually say in the past couple years, home starts have been amazing as well. We've got new subdivisions that are taking off. So it has been wonderful. And that's something to be proud of. People are moving to Tullahoma from Murfreesboro, from Florida, from Michigan, from Washington, D.C. I move people here from all over the country. So it's very, very wonderful to be able to take them down Jackson Street or to the airport or to somewhere and show them what Tullahoma has to offer. The connectivity is going to add 100 new jobs, so that's another thing that we can be proud of. We are bringing businesses to Tullahoma, and then we're going to get a new police station. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be around for the grand opening for that, but I'll be there. But that's been overdue for so long, so I'm very proud about that. I've been honored to be the liaison for our outstanding city, the Tullahoma City School System, which we are extremely lucky to have a school system as we do. I brag about them to anyone who contacts me, and we're just very, very fortunate. And I serve on the Tourism Council and will continue to do so on that, and then also a member of the Planning Commission. I just want to thank everybody again for your support, your love, your prayers. It has been challenging. It was challenging, but I knew Jeff would want me to pursue it and continue to go on. So I did. And I do appreciate everybody standing behind me. And I love Tullahoma. And I know as many of you do too. So thank you. Thank you for your support.
Ms. King, you did an amazing job. Congratulations. Both of you did. Very proud of both of you. Continue to be proud of both of you and the work that you've done.
Thank you.
So let me encourage the 7 of us to join here on the steps. And if Winston doesn't mind, we'll ask him to take a picture and as we present these plaques to you as a token of our appreciation.
Ray and Jerry, you guys step forward.
We won't fight.
Good job.
Sorry about that.
I was trying to get it.
Is Judge Connolly in the house? Is Judge Connolly in the house?
All hail.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All hail, George Conley.
Last but not least, as Wayne said.
Welcome, Judge Conley. Miss Blackwell.
We're gonna do it this way so her mom and dad and her husband and that beautiful little dog bird can give a visual on this, as well as Carolyn Henry. We'll miss you, Carolyn. Come on.
So let's ask our family to join us up here. Mr. Blackwell and Mr. Mishukla and Dr. Mishukla and the daughter.
If you would, please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Ruth Shipwood Blackwell,
I, Ruth Shipwood Blackwell,
Alderman for the City of Tullahoma,
Alderman for the City of Tullahoma,
do affirm
do affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
truly,
truly,
and impartially
and impartially
perform the duties
perform the duties
of said office
of said office
during my tenure
during my tenure
without fear,
without fear,
favor,
favor,
or partiality,
or partiality,
to the best of my skill and ability.
to the best of my skill and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Ms. Blackwell, congratulations. Let me ask you to step to the podium and share any words that you'd like to with anyone here.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. I'm really excited to be here, and I just want to thank everybody for having the faith in me to elect me into this office. I'm hoping to exactly what Mr. Duncan said, Alderman Duncan said, I wanted to say just that Alderman Duncan said, but I'm just here to serve, and I'm just excited for the opportunity to serve our community more.
Good. Thank you. Okay, if you want to... Put your next to me, so I keep an eye on you here. So do we have,
We do.
is it up here already?
Can you tell how it's sitting?
Okay. Judge Conley, floor is yours. Alderman-elect Berry.
Family, I don't know if they want to join.
Yeah. No, invite the family.
Daniel Berry, if you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Daniel Berry, Alderman for the City of Tullahoma, do affirm that I will faithfully, truly, and impartially perform the duties of said office during my tenure without fear, favor, or partiality, to the best of my skill and ability. So help me God. Thank you, Mr.
So Alderman Berry, I recognize you at the podium as well. Judge Conley, since your name was called, I'll give you an opportunity to defend yourself as well.
Well, I want to give a long story about my grandchildren. We'll start with the first one was born. Well, never mind.
Thank you, Judge Conley.
I don't have much to say.
Alderman
These are some pretty big shoes to follow, and I don't know that I'll be able to fill those shoes. Thank you to those who did get out and vote. It is extremely important. I'm not a politician like these guys. I generally try to shy away from anything that makes me have to put a jacket and suit on. This may be the last time you see that. So save those pictures. Thank you.
Thank you. So join us up. Okay, have each of you been provided an agenda? So welcome to both of you. Look forward to working with you. Yeah. Okay, we're ready to continue with the order of business. Everyone is absolutely welcome to stay as long as you want to stay. Proud that you're here. You know, I think it's really neat, especially the young people that are here, to see sort of the orderly transition of leadership that you see in this country that sometimes you don't see in other countries. So I think it's important that the young people have an opportunity to experience that.
You don't. Are we allowed to drink the water?
Sure. So, Ms. Moody, are we able to change the...
We will after the election.
Okay.
Because they'll move seats.
Do what?
Because they'll move seats, so we need to wait.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So, again, welcome everyone. First on the agenda is that we have an opening on the Utilities Authority. An opening on the Utilities Authority. As you probably know, Andy Neely has served with distinction for many years, and he's chosen not to seek reappointment. So, do we have anyone in the audience that wishes to serve on the Utilities Authority? Let me ask them if they would step to the podium, introduce yourself. Mr. Stanton, let me ask you to step to the podium. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you have an interest in serving on the Utilities Authority. Tell us why you want to serve on the Utilities Authority and maybe what qualifies you to serve, please, sir.
First of all, thank you. It's really good to be here. There's a lot of common faces I see around here. It's been 2 years since I've been here, and tell you the truth, I've enjoyed the 2 years away. But I'm anxious to serve again, and for me, I thought a place for me would be the TUA board. I served 4 years on the board. I was the mayor's appointee, and I enjoyed it very much. I went in very green, to say the least. I didn't know much about the energy industry. But after 4 years, hopefully I learned a few things. Having attended a lot of national and regional and state conferences, I came to learn that, there's a lot of things we can do in the utility industry locally, and many of which we're already doing. We have great leadership. Brian Skelton. We have great leadership with Brian and a terrific board. And I just wanted to be back on that board again because I learned so much. Why do I want to be on the board? I guess two things that come to mind. Number one, I'd like to be part of a group that works closely with the president, Brian Skelton. I thought we had a great relationship before, and I'd like to see that renewed, although it's already been going on, like I'm going to change things. But I would like to continue that tradition of having the board and the president work so well together. The second reason, and I have to make notes, I'm sorry, but I can't remember all these things that I want to say. The second thing is I'd like to, of course, help maintain the rates for our customers. We've been able to do that very successfully. We now have 3,800 light tube customers. That is remarkable. Since 2008, the inception of fiber optics, we've garnered, in 11 years, we've garnered 3,800 customers. And that's quite remarkable, considering that our competitors are on TV every night trying to grab some of our Tullahoma citizens. So I feel like that's something I'd like to try to help continue. Let me see. So basically, I'm asking for your support and your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Stanton. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Stanton. So we have other folks that have expressed interest. One is a Mr. Charles Vining. Received an email from him and have his permission to read. I have submitted an application to be a member of the board for TUA. My interest in serving on the TUA Board of Directors is to support our community. We moved to Tullahoma 25 years ago. I have worked as a mechanical engineer for the U.S. Air Force and the United States Navy for 35 years, supporting acquisition for test and evaluation facilities for both turbine engines and turbine engine technologies for the United States Navy. I'm interested in supporting the TUA board as our community continues to thrive and grow. Tullahoma has given my family a great place to live and grow. Thank you for the opportunity to submit my name for the Board of Aldermen's consideration. Respectfully, Charles Vining. He was not able to attend tonight. Mr. Waters indicated to me this afternoon that he would not be able to attend tonight. Is Ms. Amacher here?
Mr. Mayor, she had emailed that to me. She's not able to.
Is that Ms. Amacher's statement? Okay. Do we have permission to read this?
Yes, sir.
Please excuse my absence this evening. My grandfather's and my father's contribution to Tullahoma continues to remain visible and of use to all citizens. Driving around town, their handprint is inescapable. From the bowling alley to American City Bank and on down to the Markham Few Underpass, my family has literally sculpted Tullahoma. My father specialized in pipeline construction, from putting in lines to building the pond, as my daughter calls it, next to Walmart. I grew up around utility and infrastructure improvement. I'm familiar with plans and budgeting for such enterprises and also understand the value of integratable services. I worked in the office as a teenager before I went to get my degree in political science with an emphasis on public administration and then on to graduate from Nashville School of Law in 2015. I wish to serve on this board because my family has given so much and it is now my turn to carry on this legacy of productivity the only way I know how at this juncture in life, through humble servitude. I have no conflicts of interest. No family members who work at TUA or in any fashion could otherwise be impartial or biased. I plan to use my experience and knowledge to provide valuable insight to the board as a customer and a constituent. Thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully submitted, Jen Amacher. Okay, so I'm not aware of any other individuals that have expressed interest in serving on the TUA board. So we have 4 people that are interested: Ms. Amacher, Mr. Stanton, Mr. Vining, and Mr. Waters. The floor is open for nominations.
I nominate Mike Stanton.
The nominations do not require second. So we have a nomination of Mr. Stanton. Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Jenna Amacher.
It's a proper nomination. Any other nominations? Ms. Golden, do you have those slips of paper? Okay. So for our 2 new members, you will each receive a ballot and ask that you to indicate the name of...
And right on the one that has your name.
Okay.
Please.
What's my name?
Yep, and so,
Who am I?
so we have 2 nominations before us, Mr. Stanton and Ms. Amacher. So we return those to Ms. Golden, and she will make the announcement. Has everyone returned their ballot? You have 7?
One more.
7. Okay, so we have Alderman Blanks said Stanton, Alderman Blackwell said Stanton, Alderman Dunn said Amacher, Mayor Lane Curley, Stanton, Barry said Stanton, Noah said Stanton, and Mathis said Stanton. So it's 6-1.
Okay, 6-1. So, Mr. Stanton, congratulations. Appreciate your continued service to our community.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yep. Okay, so we will get the appropriate paperwork to you, and I'm sure you'll be sworn in at the appropriate time. Good. Thank you. Okay, we now have an appointment to the Tullahoma Airport Authority Board. We have a vacancy there due to the Mr. Apple, his service his term of service expired and he's not eligible for reappointment. So we have 4 people that have expressed interest: Joshua Abramson, Klaus Markov, Chris Rounds, and Mike Rutherford. We received a message this afternoon that Mr. Mark Graff has withdrawn and would not like to be considered. So we have, let me just go in order. Mr. Abramson, I saw him here earlier. Is he here? Here he is, okay. Let me ask you to step to the podium and introduce yourself to the community, and again, answer 2 questions. Why do you want to serve? And number 2, what qualifications do you have? Please, sir.
Absolutely, thank you. So, name, is address necessary for?
No, not at this point, no.
Sorry.
We've got it on
trying to remember
file.
which cities I report to when we go from my history. Hi, thank you for having me today. My name is Joshua Abramson. I recently moved into this community 6 weeks ago with my wife Shanna and my 2 boys, Mason and Evan. They're both students at Robert E. Lee Elementary. And a little bit on my particular background. My wife is from Shanna. We moved back into the region. My wife is from Cowan, excuse me. We moved back into the region to be closer to family. We'll go through a little bit of my background, but we moved around quite a bit in the past, and we got tired of that. And then we moved into Tullahoma specifically for the schools. It just was a no-brainer for us. We wanted to be close to grandparents, and we wanted the best schools in the region, and that's how we ended up here. And aside from the schools as well, the invite to the community has been wonderful, and thank you for that. I want to volunteer both as a citizen and as a business owner. As a citizen, I want to do responsibility to volunteer for the community. I found that communities that thrive have great volunteers, and I want to be one of those volunteers, and I want to join the team of great volunteers that Tullahoma has today. As a business, I want to have a nice job pool or worker pool to pull from as my business grows to hire new people into my operation, as well as I want a strong customer base. And then that goes once again through the volunteerism of the community and the strength of the community. I'm also an airport advocate. In my time in aviation, I've served on a national working group committee that reported directly to Secretary Chow for community or small community air service development and the troubles that we faced. That was put together by Senator Thune in the last FAA reauthorization bill. I've also worked since its inception under the Airport Cooperative Research Program. It's a volunteer base where we put in trouble statements on airport issues. We submit research, we hire consultants, and we provide oversight for those consultants to solve airport problems. That falls under the National Academies of Science. I've also done work as an aviation merit badge for the Boy Scouts ever since college, really. Other airport tours, just in general airport advocacy. I'm also an accredited member of the American Association of Airport Executives. Under governance, I offer fiduciary responsibility. I believe that the airport reasonably should act as a business and make every effort to strive as a business that is self-sufficient. Also, I offer independence. I have no conflict of interest at the airport. I do not own an aircraft or a business at the airport, and any changes to airport rates, fees, policies, or anything governance of airport is not transferred to me personally or professionally in the business sector. I like the airport as an asset. The airport should do its primary mission under the Federal Aviation Administration, and that is contribute to the national transportation system. Also, an asset for the operators that operate their businesses and own aircraft out of the airport. Also, an asset for the community which the airport serves. Recognizing those different pieces are what I also bring to the table. I also have no interest in the day-to-day operation of the airport. You have an airport manager. The airport board as a governing body should not be in the day-to-day operation of the airport. My background fits your needs specifically. I have 15 years in airport experience, both in the public sector and the private sector. I've worked at 3 airports, 2 of which were a public employee, and then a private sector at my last stint with Easterwood Airport in College Station, Texas. I bring you results in economic development. My work in Texas, we just concluded a $12 million public-private partnership for capital development at the airport. We also had a $4.8 million payroll recruitment of a new business in Tupelo, Mississippi, and bought new air service to Mississippi for the first time pretty much since the airport's inception. And then last I'll close, forgive me, I left my phone on purpose, but I wanted to get something from my phone. I'll close with is a team effort. It's a team effort in that you can't do it by yourself, you can't do it as a board, you can't do it just as the airport manager, you have to pull the team and the community together. So this past Friday, I've been here for 6 weeks, I got a text from the restaurant owner, this is Jay Cody's in College Station, Texas, actually Brian. Finally leased the FBO today, wish you were here to celebrate with us. That was the final piece, that was $1 million development of a non-aeronautical restaurant business opening up at the airport. There's going to be more jobs at the airport. And that was done through a team effort. That was done through the airport. That was done through the Federal Aviation Administration. That was done through the FBO service provider, Texas A&M, and the airport restaurateur now. And all those pieces have to come together, and it takes collaboration and a team effort to make those economic opportunities come to fruition. So, thank you. Any questions you have for me?
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Abramson? Thank
You say you have a business here?
I do.
And what type of business is this?
I'm doing IT support. So I want to do specialty projects on here, but for the most part, it's just going to be IT support, and then expanding at the end of September. We'll probably say with October, depending on Department of Commerce, it'll go into CCTV and alarms, but mostly custom applications and projects. I think my first customer would probably be Baton Rouge Airport, actually. So maybe. Don't tell them.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned several large airports, and Tullahoma, while we love it, is not that large. What vision do you have for the Tullahoma Airport?
Well, that's a good question, and I want to give you a solid answer in that I think it's going to take a mix. Airport the size of Tullahoma, you have an uphill battle. Okay, I see us as, I always like to advocate airports as a tangible asset for the community. I want somebody, whenever I ask about the airport, that they see the value that it brings to the community. And that has to offset operational costs, that has to offset the capital cost of an airport, which are very expensive. And I want to have the airport in a position or where when you ask a citizen or anybody that knows or aware of the airport, and we hopefully have more people aware of it, that they understand that the airport is providing as an economic engine for a significant portion of the businesses within the community. You have an uphill challenge. You have other airports in the area that are willing to give away the real estate. You have to compete against that. You have an industry that is with an aircraft type that is in declining numbers in total, the piston aircraft. So we have more competition in that way. But you have a strong service in what you currently have today. You have a group that has a vested interest in the growth of the airport. You have a strong airport manager. You have a variety of companies that a lot of airports would just be chomping at the bit to have. And those variety of companies and airport operators give you that community recognition and that tangible asset piece. It's jobs at the airport, it's revenue, and it's the economic impact that the airport provides for the community. So my vision would be to do what we can to continue to capitalize on what you have today to continue that growth and economic impact, be it through jobs directly or indirectly.
Other questions? Thank you, Mr. Avers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Rounds. Welcome. So again, introduce yourself and then answer the two questions. You know, a little bit about yourself and what.
I'm Chris Rounds. I'm from Tullahoma, and I learned how to fly in this airport in 1977. That's a tough act to follow, by the way, Josh, so I agree with everything that's said. I think the airport is one of our best assets. It's a big investment locally, and it's a well-liked airport. They've done a great job running it. It's a fantastic airport. It's a phenomenal airport. So I'd like to be a part of the team to make sure the airport and the community moves on to prosper and grow. It's over 800 acres. So there's a lot of room. There's a lot of room for development, a lot of diversity out there for our airport. So it plays a considerable role in the local economic development and infrastructure of the community. So that's the purpose I want to be on there.
Good. Any questions of Mr. Rounds?
Have you had any, maybe it's, never mind, it's right here.
Sorry?
Management or board experience working with small airports?
Well, I've been in aviation all my life and also was or am a graduate of Auburn University in aviation management. So that's a plus. So War Eagle.
War Eagles.
Anything else?
Mr. Rounds, in the past, you have had some issues with the airport.
Right.
And the board.
Correct.
To the extent that you did file a lawsuit against the board and the airport.
Right.
And naming all the members on that board.
Right.
With some of those members still being on that board that you would be serving in, does that present any particular problem for you?
No, sir. I go in this with a level playing field. I use that as experience. I think everything has every cloud has a silver lining. Come back with a positive experience on that. We all still get along. We all still fly together. We all still agree on a lot of things. So I think if we agree to disagree, we'll sit and talk about it, work it all out, and make sure everything is for the better for both the community and the airport. So I think we all came out of that with a positive attitude. Even though it was bad at the time, it was a learning experience. And I think it was all in good in the long run. It's something that I didn't really want to do. I was out of town, so it got put in charge of an attorney, and we don't want to go there. So, thanks.
Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Rounds.
Thank you.
Dr. Mike Rutherford. Dr. Rutherford, the floor is yours. Again, a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve and what qualifications you bring.
So I'm Mike Rutherford. I've lived here in this town for over 60 years, and it's a great place to live. And I'm pursuing this particular position. The person who left the board, and I'm going after his particular position right there. My involvement with the airport goes back to the year 2009. In Kiwanis Club, we wanted to move our annual Independence Day event from the high school stadium out to the airport. In order to have a fireworks show out at the airport, we had to close down the air traffic. I had never met John Glass till that one day I walked into his office in 2009. We introduced ourselves to each other, and I said, "Are you Frank Glass's son?" And he looked at me and he said, "Well, that depends." Back on a cold day in 1961, John F. Kennedy made the statement, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." And I think he gave a shout out to volunteerism for people all over the United States. I've been lucky enough to live in a town where I can volunteer for doing lots of things, and I've been the recipient of many volunteer acts throughout my lifetime. That's it right there. Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
I have one question. You have a significant amount of business experience in the community as well,
Yes.
running a business. Do you see that relevant to be serving on the board?
I think it gives you a good wellspring to work from right there. Business sense comes from just running a business and learning from doing those activities that it takes to run a business.
Do you have any experience in managing airports, sitting on boards with airports?
I don't, other than those planning events that we had year after year for doing the air show. So I have no other experience other than that.
Do you have are there any types of conflicts that would be out there? Do you have a plane? Do you?
I don't.
No.
I don't own a plane.
Have you sat on, and I apologize, we did get your resume emailed, I didn't put it in here. Sat on board experience previously on any other type of board?
Yes. So in Kiwanis Club, we have a board of directors, and I've been heavily involved with that for decades.
Okay. I'm out in the Highland Rim Kiwanis. So
Yes.
that's all I have.
Jim.
This probably doesn't have anything to do with anything. How many Christmas trees have you sold in your life?
Thousands. We gave that project up. It was a non-winning strategy to sell Christmas trees.
Wish you'd bring it back.
It was a bunch of cold days selling those Christmas trees.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you all.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone's willingness to serve. So I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but it's later on the agenda. Let's go ahead and deal with it now since everyone's still here. So the floor is open for any nominations to serve on the Airport Authority. We have 3 individuals that are available to serve: Mr. Abramson, Mr. Rounds, and Mr. Rutherford.
Mr. Mayor, I nominate Mike Rutherford.
Proper nomination. Thank you. Is there any other
Do you need a
nomination?
second or not?
Nope.
I'd like to nominate Josh Abramson.
Josh Abramson. Any other nominations? Seeing none, then we'll close that portion and we'll ask everyone to please indicate your support and sign the card. Yeah.
What?
Is that it? Nope. Got 2 more. Oh, you weren't supposed to see that.
Okay, Alderman Berry voted for Abramson. Alderman Blanks voted for Rutherford. Dunn voted for Abramson. Blackwell voted for Abramson. Mayor Lane Curley voted for Rutherford. Noah's voted for Rutherford. And Mathis voted for Rutherford. 4-3.
Mr. Rutherford, congratulations. Appreciate, again, your willingness to serve, and we'll get you some paperwork to indicating that the tenure of your service, and I'm sure the chair of the Airport Authority will share with you when meetings are and things like that. Good, thank you. I saw a hand go up somewhere. Did you have a question, Mr. Blake? Oh, waiting. I thought maybe it's an auction and you'd bought something. You okay, we're ready for board reports. Mr. Mathis.
I think that probably we all should be aware of this coming Friday night. It's the coffee pot game in Manchester. So we need to turn out and be there. Both teams lost their first game. Tullahoma played really well and just came out on the short end. But this game here is always something. A lot of rivalry, a lot of, well, let's put it this way, there's a lot going on. So anyway, we need to make sure we're there for that game and support the Wildcats. That's all I have.
Good, very good, thank you. Mr. Berry, anything that you'd like to report from your first 10 minutes?
It's been exciting. That's all I've got.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Dr. Blanks.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything really pertinent since, we're pushing on time here. I just tell people to shop Tullahoma. Go out and support our Wildcats as they pursue the Red Raiders Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
We got the pot, right?
We got the pot, right.
We want to keep it here.
Keep it here.
That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Shop local.
Shop local. He said that. Ms. Blackwell, anything to report your first 10 minutes?
Nothing to
You're
report.
good? You're good? Okay. Ms. Dunn?
No report?
No. Mr. Norris?
I attended the planning commission, that's all I have to report.
Okay. All right, so let's see, we're ready for, let's see, we've done that. We're ready for the election of a mayor pro tem. Once again, I'll open the floor for any nominations, and the nominations do not require second. Are there any
I
nominations?
nominate Jimmy Blanks.
Dr. Blanks? Any other, will you agree to?
I will agree to serve as your right-hand man.
Yeah. Actually, it's on the left.
But on the left hand.
Sure. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in support of Dr. Blank's selection by acclamation, vote green. Opposed, vote red. All right.
So, hold on a second.
Do I?
Renee, I didn't get,
Did it not work? Did that work?
okay, Blanks and didn't.
Did you
so
choose not
that's
to
fine.
vote?
I chose not to vote.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, you can if you want to, but.
My lines weren't quite
Yeah.
lining up there.
Are
Okay.
they moving around on you or something?
No, see, things are bigger than those.
Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations. Dr.
Thank you,
Blanks.
sir.
So at this time, it's appropriate, I think, for the two of you to change seats, if you don't mind.
I've warmed your seat up for you. Put it to the corners.
You need your laptop.
Okay, while Mr. Brooks is doing that, I'll distribute these.
So you know who you are.
Oh, gosh.
Ms. Moody, and I'll give you some copies as well. Do you want a copy? Thank you. Okay, we filled in. I would respectfully ask your consideration on the various liaison and membership appointments. As you notice at the bottom, we've just elected the Mayor Pro Tem. The floor is now open for nominations to serve as a member of the Planning Commission. Alderman Noes has offered to continue to serve. Are there any nominations?
I'll nominate Alderman Noes.
Noes, will you agree to serve if selected? Yes. Thank you. Other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of Alderman Noes serving as a member of the Planning Commission for the next year, by acclamation, vote green, opposed, vote red. Has everyone voted? Yes. Motion passes 6-0. Okay. So now we're ready for the City Attorney's report. Mr. Worsham, please, sir.
Your Honor, I don't really have a report tonight. There's something on the consent agenda that I'll reserve and report to later after negotiations take place relative to the property.
Good. Thank you. Mrs. Moody.
I have no report tonight other than just to say that, kind of echo the comments that were made earlier and what an honor it is to serve with such a, I guess a team of leaders that all work so well together. It certainly helps from the staff perspective when all of you get along so well and enjoy each other's company as you obviously do. And I look forward to working with Alderman Blackwell and Alderman Berry just as much. So.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sometimes Mr. Mathis and I don't get along very well, but aside from that, I think we generally do.
Well, you've got to look and see what I got to work with. That's what's difficult.
I guess I sort of opened myself up for that.
He did. I had him in high school, and he was my manager. I made him go upstairs all the time because it was unsafe. And I made him go up there.
True story.
True story.
Okay, we've got several items on the consent agenda. Item 19-103, minutes of the July 22nd meeting. 19-104, accept the June financial report. 19-105, accept a donation of real property on North Collins Street valued at $25,000 from Hart Family Partners. And thank you, Mr. Worsham, for your work on that. Appreciate that very much, Mr. Worsham. 19-106, announce a vacancy on the Thelma Planning Commission and a vacancy on the Thelma Arts Council. So as you move around the community, if you see some folks that might have an interest in serving on the Planning Commission, they need to contact Mrs. Morrison and complete what we call a citizen participation form. 19-107, reappoint Dr. James George to the Thelma Airport Authority for a 5-year term. He is eligible and has indicated a willingness to serve. 19-108, approve and authorize the mayor to sign a settlement agreement with the owner of real property located at 127 West Lincoln Street, subject to final review and approval by the board, mayor, and alderman after the owner's agreement to the terms. 19-109, approve and authorize the mayor to sign a service agreement with Integrity Payment Systems, LLC, IPS, for online payment of building permits. 19-110, approve and authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Dell for licensing of Microsoft Office 365 and Windows 10 under state contract pricing for government licensing for use by all city departments. Is there a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented? Motion by Alderman Mathis, seconded by Mr. Noes. All those in favor of the consent agenda as presented, vote green, opposed, vote red. Although I know that the two newest members understand what we just did, for those in the audience, consent agenda consent agenda items are considered non-controversial in nature, and we vote on those all at one time to expedite the process. Motion passes 7-0. We have one item of new business, 1526, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee, which is ordinance number 1392, by amending Article 2 definitions and replacing Section 503, locations of accessory buildings, with the new Section 503, accessory uses and structures, for passage on the second of two readings. As you recall, we had previous discussion about this. This is second of two readings.
Second.
Mr. Noah's motion, seconded by Dr. Blanks. Any discussion? All those wishing to approve ordinance 1526, vote green. Opposed, vote red.
Alrighty, let's try that one more time. Sorry, one more time, vote. I had cleared it.
How many years have you been doing that?
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Blanks. Can you vote again? There you go. All right, we're all voted now.
Motion passes 7-0. Ms. Moody, any other old business?
No other old business.
Okay, under new business, we have 19-111, we've already completed. 19-112, we've already completed. Resolution to amend the Tullahoma fiscal year 2020 capital projects budget. Let me get a motion in a second. I'll defer to Mrs. Moody or her designee for an explanation.
Motion approved.
Proper motion by Dr. Blank, second by Mr. Noes.
We have several projects that are now complete, including the animal shelter and the signalization at William Northern. And so what this resolution does is close out those projects and move any remaining funds to contingency in our capital projects fund.
Very good. Any questions?
I have one question. The stoplight at William Northern, when I come into Kentucky Fried Chicken and get a meal occasionally, when my wife is in McMinnville, and I don't want to fix a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, there's a wire that comes out of a box in the ground that goes up to a tree. And I asked one of the drive-through ladies there one night, what is that? Just, it was odd looking. She said, well, since they worked on that, the traffic light there, that's been like that. But it just goes up it doesn't look very safe. And I meant to bring that up, and tonight is the first time that I've thought about it since.
So you asked a lady at Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Well, I was in her drive-through, and it's the trees that border William Northern. And I thought it would be under the purview of the Kentucky Fried Chicken people, but she thought it was the traffic light people.
Oh, okay.
That is sort of odd, isn't it? A wire running up into a tree.
Just, yeah.
Yeah, just backwards.
Squirrels.
That's who I'd ask them too.
I was waiting on some Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Maybe that's, I don't know. Anything else?
No, sir.
Did we vote?
No, we did not. And I'm ready.
Are we ready to vote?
Got us off the tracks.
All right. Yeah, you totally digressed us there.
Apologies.
Have we already voted?
No, we didn't.
All right. All those in favor of the resolution 1811, vote green. Opposed, vote red.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah. I'm going to go find that wire going up.
Chicken for everybody.
That actually sounds delicious.
I'm going to go there.
Motion passes 7-0. Let me go ask the lady at Kentucky Fried Chicken. 1527, ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee, which is ordinance number 1392, by replacing Article 9, Plan Unit Development, with the new Article 9, Plan Development District Overlay, and set a public hearing for September 9, 2019 on the same, for the passage of the first of two readings. Again, let me get a motion. Proper motion.
Second.
By Mr. Noah, seconded by Ms. Blackwell. Mrs. Moody.
This item, I'm excited to see it come forward. It's something that the planning director and I have been working on over the last several weeks, and mainly in response to some of the proposed developments in the community, and recognizing a desire from the Planning Commission and this body that you have more certainty in some senses over the kind of development that occurs, and then also wanting to have more flexibility in negotiating at times some variance from what's required. And so plan development under this type of overlay will actually allow us to, in some instances, grant waivers in terms of density or some other characteristics in favor of things that may be more favorable, preserving open space, increasing landscape buffers, maybe even some kind of building materials or aesthetic architectural material that's in the design. And so I will turn it over to Lee Lawson if you have any very specific questions, but in general terms, that's what we hope to do with this. Currently, a plan development is allowed in any zoning district, but the base zoning still remains. With this proposal, we'll have an overlay that's on top of the base zoning, and once Planning Commission and this board have approved the plan development, it is what has to be built unless they come back before both bodies and amend the plan. So that's where the certainty comes in.
This is a good thing, very good thing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the ordinance 1527 on the first of two readings and to set a public hearing on September the 9th, which is the next meeting, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. I appreciate Mr. Lawson and Ms. Moody for their initiative. Okay, ordinance number 1528, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee, which is ordinance number 1392, by amending Article 4, Specific District Regulations, Section 3, Residential Districts by adding R1A, Large Lot Residential District, and set a public hearing for September 9th on the same for the passage of first of two readings. Another good initiative. Mrs. Moody. Let me get a motion.
Move to approve.
A motion by Mr. Noyes. Second by Mr. Berry. Mrs. Moody.
Again, I think this is an item that staff is initiating, but it's in response to what we're seeing in the community. Currently, I believe we have too few zoning districts. When you look at those that are the least dense, agriculture allows obviously agricultural uses, but it allows residential at a minimum lot size of 5 acres. The next, in terms of least dense development that could occur, is a R1 zoning, which allows a minimum of 1/3 of an acre lot. This is somewhere in between, so it's what I would, to characterize it, I would call it an estate lot zoning. The minimum lot size would be 2 acres in this R1A and would still accommodate agricultural uses if someone wanted to.
Very good. Any discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of ordinance number 1528 on the first of two readings and to set a public hearing for September 9th, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Mrs. Moody, any other new business?
No.
All right, we will adjourn and go into the beer board portion of the agenda. We have a consent agenda item B19 BB31, minutes of August 12th, 2019 beer board meeting. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Mr. Noah, seconded by Dr. Blanks. All those in favor of the consent agenda as presented, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. We have no old business. We have two items of new business. First is beer application on-premise permit for an existing business, Bar 315, located at 315 South Anderson Street. The new owner intends for Mr. Danny Joe Dobson to be the manager in charge of beer sales. Consider approval subject to final fire inspection. Do we have someone here to represent 315 South Anderson Street? So welcome. If you would state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Donna Monroe. I'm the assistant manager.
Very good. Welcome. Very good. Welcome. So you, Ms. Golden, help me out. So they have submitted an application because of a change in managers? Or is this is not a new?
It's a new establishment. Where an old establishment was.
Oh, okay. All right.
Used to be some.
Okay, so you're the new owner.
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right, I understand now. All right, yeah. So, have you received a copy of the beer laws of Tullahoma?
Yes, sir.
All right, have you read those and understand those? Are there any questions? Do you both understand the sale of beer is a very serious responsibility?
Yes, sir.
All right, tell us a little bit about your history in this industry in terms of a retail.
Actually, I'm new to the retail.
Okay.
I have been in the medical field for 22 years, and so this is a change for me, but it's a very exciting change.
Good.
And I'm looking forward to learning. I have called Coffee County Anti-Drug Coalition to set up so we could go ahead and get our, take the class and get our certificate for that. So we can go through all the training necessary and make sure the rest of the staff does the same as well.
All right, so what will you have in place to prohibit the sale of beer to a minor?
Checking IDs, making sure everybody over the age of 40 or 45, making sure that all IDs are being checked. That's the main thing.
You know, precautionary measures you can humanly do to make sure somebody under the age is not drinking.
All right. Now, as I understand, you've indicated willingness to take the server training. Okay. Now, are you open now, but you're just not selling beer? Okay.
Yeah, we're not open right now.
Okay. All right. Anyone else have any questions?
Will you be checking IDs on the inside or the outside?
When they come in, our bartenders are checking, and I'll also have to where we have to walk around just to double check because we do have a side back door, which we are not opening up anymore because in the past people were coming in through that door, and even though we have security cameras and watching the security cameras on there, once it gets busy, it can kind of be a little difficult. But we will be walking around double checking, making sure that minors are not in there trying to play pool or trying to sing karaoke or anything like that.
Okay.
Is this where the Cork's Cove was, correct?
Other questions? So the appropriate motion would be, if you agree, to approve, subject to the final fire inspection. Floor is open.
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to final fire inspection.
Proper motion by Mr. Berry, seconded by Mr. Mathis. Any further discussion? So I do encourage you to, as you've indicated that you would, to take that class. And again, understand the sale of beer is a very serious responsibility.
Yes, sir.
Now, were you, okay. Anything else? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have one other item, 19BB33, beer application off-premise permit for an existing business, Nisha Inc., doing business as West Lincoln Street Market, located at 610 West Lincoln Street. The new owners intend for Mr. Patel to be the manager in charge of beer sales. Consider approval subject to final fire inspection. So who's representing the West Lincoln Street Market? Okay, welcome. Yeah. So if you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, my name is Lasin Patel. First name is Paresh, and the West Lincoln Market, 610 West Lincoln Market.
Okay. So have you also received a copy of the beer laws of Tullahoma?
Yes.
Have you read those?
Yes.
And are there any questions at this point? No. Now, as you heard me say, the sale of beer is a very important responsibility.
Yes, sir.
All right. What do you have in place to assure that sales are not made to minors?
Check the ID, make sure it's over the age, not underage, do not sell in a minor. And each individual customer, every time walk in and buy any kind of beer, check every individual the ID.
We have a software.
All right, so do you have a point of sale system as well?
Yes. So every beer we make the sales, we have to enter the age, date of birth and everything to the system. That system, open to sell the beers.
Okay. All right. Now, have you and your staff agreed to take the training provided by several groups here in the county?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Yeah. We
We're not familiar with that, no. We have several locations, we have, like, different county, we have 32 locations ourselves.
Okay.
So this is the first in Tullahoma, so
Okay.
whatever you guys require, we're definitely gonna follow that.
Good. Sure. Well, it's not a requirement, but
Okay.
we would urge you to, I mean, the motion might be made to require it, I don't know, but what's it, do we have the,
Responsible vendor.
right, responsible vendor program, right. And so, if you would, check with Ms. Golden tomorrow, and do you have a listing of folks that provide that service? Okay. And it's not for necessarily the two of you, but it's for the managers and the staff that are there. It's a very important, that you do not sell beer to a minor. Now, what about the sale of cigarettes? Do you sell cigarettes at this store? All right. What do you have in place that you do not sell cigarettes to minors? Same thing?
Same software we could use.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Patel?
Tobacco is not under our purview, though, is it?
No, but...
It's under your purview. But just legally, I'm saying, that's not our
You don't
thing.
have to tell him.
Okay. I do have one question. Y'all have 32 locations?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever had any
Not any other-
citations?
No, we don't.
Continue the good work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion.
Yes, the floor is open for a motion.
Make a motion to approve the beer license pending the fire inspection.
The final fire inspection, that's correct.
Second.
Proper motion by Mr. Mayor, Mr. Perry, seconded by Ms. Dunn. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Congratulations. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry the meeting took so long.
For your patience.
All right, I skipped over something a few minutes ago, and I should not have. I skipped over the citizen comment section. Does anyone have any comments in the audience? Oh, I do have some. This will be very brief. Mr. Glick, you're at the podium. Would you stand at the podium, please, sir?
Dun, dun, dun.
I must have sat in the wrong spot.
So this, and I have permission to read, this is from Dr. Marvin Carson. Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Tullahoma High School Lady Wildcats and our Booster Club, we want to say a big thank you, and that's capitalized with 3 exclamation points. This is directed to Mr. Glick. This weekend's tournament was a great success, and we had nothing but positive feedback from all those involved. The fields were in amazing shape, and he goes on to talk about the parents love the program. The coaches are very impressed with the facilities. Now, are these the same fields that were just destroyed practically a month or so ago?
Yeah, and the staff did a lot of work on them at very little out-of-the-pocket expense to the city besides for the labor to get them back in order, and it's like nothing ever happened to them.
Yeah, congratulations. I think that was certainly good news, for the young people that participated. Thank you, Mr. Blake.
It's a good job. Thank the recreation staff for doing that.
I agree. Yeah, thank you. All right, no other business. We are adjourned. Have a safe evening. What's left of it.
Now off to